Welcome to the Stoic Golden Tribe, where enduring wisdom meets the strength of presence, and where we uncover the truths modern society refuses to teach men. Too many men today are lost, confused, and emotionally manipulated, not by accident, but by design. We live in a world that tells men to soften, to apologize for their masculinity, and to mold themselves into what others, especially women, want them to be. But here's the uncomfortable truth. When you let a woman decide what kind of man you should be, you lose your essence. And once your essence is gone, her attraction to you dies with it. This video isn't about anger, it's not about control. It's about reclaiming what modern culture is trying to strip from you, your masculine core, your purpose, and your identity. Throughout history, from the Spartans of ancient Greece to the warrior poets of feudal Japan, men were taught to lead themselves first, to build themselves from within, not for approval, not for validation, but because their strength shaped the world around them. But now men chase acceptance like beggars and wonder why they're disrespected. They ask women what to do and wonder why they're left. It's time to break that cycle. In this video, we'll explore 4 deep and powerful chapters: the hidden psychology behind female behavior and why women test men to see if they'll bend, why seeking validation destroys masculine polarity, the ancient wisdom of self-mastery used by real men of history who refused to be reshaped by anyone, and finally, the mindset that makes a man unbreakable, loved not because he conforms, but because he stands firm. Stay with me to the end. This message could change the entire way you see women and yourself. If you find power in this message, like, comment, share, and subscribe. Your support allows us to continue speaking truth in a world full of noise. Drop a comment below. Have you ever lost yourself trying to be the man she wanted? Let's talk about it. Chapter 1. Why she can't respect the man she controls. There's a truth most men avoid because it hurts too much to face. A woman cannot love or respect the man she controls. It's not because she's cruel, it's not because she's broken. It's because feminine energy does not respond to submission, it responds to strength. In the beginning of a relationship, most men are solid, confident, purpose-driven. She's drawn to him because of this strength. She sees a man with a spine, a man with a vision. But slowly, almost quietly, the testing begins. She'll ask him to change little things, his tone, his goals, his friends, his habits. And he agrees, thinking, if I just adjust a little, she'll love me more. But instead of love, what comes next is distance. Here's why. Every time you bend to her will just to keep the peace, you chip away at the very thing that attracted her in the first place, your masculine frame. You think you're being kind, she feels you becoming weak. You think compromise will bring closeness, she feels a shift and starts testing more. This is not manipulation, it's biology. It's how women determine if the man they're with can truly lead. In ancient Rome, generals were not chosen by votes, they were tested in fire. Only through adversity was a man's strength revealed. In the same way, a woman will test your boundaries, not because she wants to be your master, but because she wants to feel safe in your leadership. Let's make it plain. If she can push you around, she cannot fully trust you. And if she can't trust you, she can't fully surrender to the relationship. And if she can't surrender, she'll either dominate you or leave you. So understand this. When you allow her to steer your masculinity, you don't just lose her, you lose yourself. Real masculine power is not aggressive, it's not domineering, it's calm, centered, rooted in values that don't sway with emotion or fear of loss. This doesn't mean you don't listen, but it does mean you lead. You listen with strength, you love with direction, you give, not because she demands it, but because it aligns with the man you've chosen to be. Never forget, when a man betrays himself to keep a woman, he loses both. Drop a comment below. Have you ever noticed the moment she started losing respect for you? Let's talk about what changed and how you can reclaim it. Chapter 2. The death of masculinity begins with the need for approval. Let's face it, most men today are addicts, not to drugs, not to alcohol, but to something far more subtle and dangerous, female validation. We live in a time where men are told, happy wife, happy life. They're raised to believe that their worth is determined by how well they can please a woman, how much they can adapt to her mood, how willing they are to sacrifice their principles just to avoid tension. And slowly, day by day, year by year, they become shells of who they once were. You see it everywhere. The man who changes his dreams to make her feel secure. The man who hides his opinions to avoid her disapproval. The man who walks on eggshells just to keep the peace. But here's the brutal truth. The moment you seek a woman's approval more than your own purpose, you kill your masculinity. Think about it. When a man is young, raw, unshaped by life, he dreams freely. He acts boldly. He speaks with clarity. He has direction, fire, untamed vision. But the more he chases approval, especially from women, the more he waters himself down until nothing remains but a people-pleasing puppet. And then he wonders, why is she pulling away? Why is she cold? Why doesn't she look at me the way she used to? It's simple. You traded your masculine presence for her emotional comfort. You made her the compass and lost your direction. You made her the sun and forgot you're the mountain. A woman may say she wants a soft man, a sensitive man, an agreeable man, but when she gets one, she starts to resent him. Not because she's ungrateful, but because her biology is wired to trust the man who knows who he is, even when she's unsure. Ancient warriors were not concerned with who approved of their battle plans. They were concerned with strategy, with honor, with legacy. Samurai lived by Bushido, the way of the warrior. Their code wasn't up for debate. It was a code rooted in discipline, courage, and truth. Modern men, they live by the code of whatever makes her stay. But here's the real wisdom. The men who lead with truth, even if it means standing alone, are the ones women respect the most. A man who seeks no approval commands silent admiration. He doesn't need applause. He doesn't fear being misunderstood. He's not arrogant, but he is rooted. And ironically, the less you chase her validation, the more deeply she feels your value. Because true masculinity doesn't beg for acceptance. It radiates a presence that says, I am who I am. You're welcome to join me, but I will not be moved. Drop a comment below. Have you ever lost yourself trying to gain her approval? Tell me what happened and what you learned from it. Chapter 3. Ancient Masculine Wisdom. The code of men who could not be shaped. Throughout history, there were men who didn't ask, what kind of man should I be for her? They asked instead, what kind of man must I become to fulfill my destiny? And that question changed everything. Let's go back to ancient Sparta. In Spartan culture, boys were taken from their mothers at age 7 and placed in the agoge, a brutal training system that forged warriors out of children. There were no soft lessons, no coddling, no find yourself speeches. Instead, they were taught endurance, discipline, courage, and above all, how to suffer without complaint. Why? Because a man who cannot master himself is a danger to others and a slave to the world around him. They didn't train boys to become who others wanted them to be. They trained them to become men who no one could reshape, men whose character was immovable. Now ask yourself, how different is that from the man who lets a woman shape his personality, his dreams, his masculinity? You see, what we've lost in modern relationships is not just structure or tradition. We've lost the male initiation into manhood. In the past, a young man went through pain, trials, rejection, and responsibility, guided by other men. Today, most boys go straight from their mother's influence into the emotional expectations of a woman, never learning how to develop their own backbone. And so they fold, they break, They become shapeshifters. They abandon their path the moment it causes friction with the woman they love. But here's what you must understand. Women were never meant to initiate men into manhood. They were meant to receive the strength of a man who had already been initiated. You don't become a man by making her happy. You become a man by learning who you are without her approval. Let's take another example. The Stoics of ancient Rome, Marcus Aurelius, Seneca, Epictetus. These men didn't craft their lives around external validation. They believed that peace came from within, from living in alignment with reason, virtue, and discipline. Marcus Aurelius once said, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." That quote alone shatters the modern mindset. He didn't say, "Be the man she wants." He said, "Be a good man, period, a man of truth, a man of direction, a man who cannot be swayed by temporary emotion." And yet, how many men today build their entire identity around a woman's opinion? They grow their hair the way she likes. They take jobs that don't fulfill them just to appear stable. They silence their masculine instinct so they won't come off too much. But what if the very thing she secretly desires is for you to stop listening to her emotions and start leading from your principles? Because deep down, even she knows a man who moves with conviction, regardless of who agrees, is a man who commands respect. Look, this doesn't mean you ignore her needs. This doesn't mean you become emotionally unavailable or rigid. But it does mean that your foundation must be built on something older, deeper, and stronger than her mood. A man who is built on female approval will crumble. A man who is built on masculine principles will stand even when storms come. So stop trying to be the man she wants. Become the man you were born to be. Because when you do that, you won't need to chase her. She'll feel safe in your presence. She'll follow your lead, not because you demanded it, but because you earned it. Drop a comment below. Which ancient wisdom hit you the hardest in this chapter? Let's talk about how you're applying it in your life. Chapter 4. The unbreakable mindset that makes a man irresistible. There is one thing that separates men who are constantly controlled from those who are deeply respected, even desired. It's not looks, it's not money, it's not how charming you are, how romantic you can be, or how many gifts you buy. It's something deeper, a mindset. The mindset of the unbreakable man. What is that mindset? It's the quiet, immovable belief that you are the foundation, not just of the relationship, but of your entire life. It's the understanding that your purpose comes before her approval, that your values come before her validation, that your standards are non-negotiable. This kind of man doesn't fear rejection. He doesn't fear walking alone because he knows to be a man is to lead, and to lead is to risk not being liked. Let me say that again. To lead as a man means accepting that not everyone, not even the woman you love, will always approve. But he does it anyway. Not out of pride, not out of ego, but out of integrity. He leads from a center that cannot be shaken. This is the man she can't help but admire, the man she might argue with, but secretly respects, the man who might not always make her comfortable, but who makes her feel safe. Because here's what no one tells you: women don't fall in love with men who obey them. They fall in love with men they can trust, even when that trust means surrendering to a stronger will. She wants to feel your gravity, your pull, your fire. But none of that exists if you're always adjusting yourself to fit into her frame. When you stop trying to prove yourself to her, when you stop auditioning for her love, when you stop letting her emotions rewrite your direction, you become the man who sets the emotional tone. And here's the secret. Once you stop letting her decide what kind of man you should be, she will naturally respond to who you truly are, if that man is powerful, grounded, and unapologetically masculine. Not every woman will accept that. Some will try to break it. Some will leave because of it. Let them. Because the right woman doesn't want to reshape you. She wants to rest in the strength of the man you've already become. So what does this mindset require? Unwavering self-awareness. A purpose bigger than romance. Discipline over desire. And the courage to walk alone until you find a woman who walks with you, not ahead of you, not above you, but beside you. That is the unbreakable mindset, and once you have it, no woman, not even the one you love most, will ever control you again. Because you've finally become the man she cannot shake. Drop a comment below. Are you ready to stop being reshaped and start standing like a mountain? Let's talk about the mindset you're building. If you found value in this video, make sure to like, comment, share, and subscribe. Join the brotherhood here at the Stoic Golden Tribe, where men rise not to please, but to lead with presence, power, and purpose.